This short video will discuss course progression and what happens if you have a problem that causes you to fail a unit. And indeed, what's a unit prerequisite and who should you talk to if you have enrolment questions. The Bachelor of Design consists of 4 units a semester over 8 semesters to make 4 years of study. Now when I say 4 units a semester, your course may actually have some 24 and even 36 credit point units. So it may look like this, or even like this, or even like this, or ultimately it may even look a bit like this. So the actual detail of your course arrangement may vary depending on your primary major. Now primary major units in this diagram are indicated in red, and common units, the ones that everyone, no matter which primary major they're doing, is coloured blue in this diagram. And you can see there are 4 common units. Most of them are in first year and one of them in 4th year, which is the research methods unit. So you should do these common units in the order that they're shown in the diagram. So don't try and do research methods, which is a 4th year unit, when you're in 1st, 2nd or 3rd year. Now additionally, of course, there are second major or minor options. So these are coloured grey in this diagram. So what does this mean for you? Well, of course the course is structured so that you start with basic information, foundation content, and build upon it. As your knowledge grows, you can take on more complex design knowledge and design skills. So we insist that you do the basics before you go on to the intermediate or the advanced content. And we do this by implementing a system called prerequisites. So a prerequisite means that a unit in, say, 2nd semester requires completion of the previous design unit in, say, the 1st semester. Now you may encounter prerequisites in different locations in your course, most commonly in your design units. So there's a chain of prerequisites right along the backbone of the course which link all the design units together. And this is because design units increase in complexity as you go through the course. And we think that you won't be equipped to tackle, say, 2nd year design units until you've finished 1st year design units, for example. So what does this do for your course progression? Well, it means if that you have some kind of hitch, if you fail a unit that is a prerequisite for a later unit, it's going to delay your progression. In fact, if you fail a unit, it's pretty much always going to delay your progression through the course. So when you fail a unit, you need to repeat it next time it's offered. And most units aren't offered more than once per year. So you won't be able to attempt any requisite units, any units that depend on that failed unit to proceed. So if you have a unit which is dependent for another unit, then simply you won't be able to enroll in it until you've completed that failed unit. One note, it is possible to get supplementary assessment for units in certain circumstances. Typically that's only if it's in your final 96 credit points in your graduating year. So supplementary assessment, that is an extra assignment to give you, if you like, a second chance of proving that you know the unit content, that won't be possible, that won't be offered according to the QT rules unless you're in your final 96 credit points of study. So don't hold out any hope for that in 1st, 2nd or 3rd year. We're not allowed to offer that. So course progression, if you failed, say, this unit in the 2nd semester of 1st year, what does that mean for the way your course pattern looks, your study plan? Well, what it means is that you're going to take longer to complete the course because you'll have to repeat, I've marked it with a big R, that unit that you failed, and move on to do it again next year when it's offered. And that means your final graduating date will be displaced by 1 year. Now a lot of students find this kind of stressful when it happens to them. Don't panic. It's not the end of the world. It's a hitch. It's not fatal. It's not going to wreck your life. It just means it's going to take you a little bit longer to finish. It doesn't mean that you're a failure as a human being. It doesn't mean anything of the kind. So take heart. It's not a fatal thing. It's just something that needs a little bit of adjustment. It means that you're going to be at QT a little bit longer than you planned, but you'll still graduate if you keep with it. So what this means is that your the pattern of your course progression can be shifted, and it means that you may choose to space out some of the other units in your study plan so that you have some in this diagram you can see there are 3 years when there are only 3 units per semester. Now this might be a strategically useful thing for you to do because it means that you can have a lighter load for a great portion of your course. This could mean that you could take on some additional part-time work. You might work in a design office in the extra time that you have available, only doing 3 units a semester. And it also means that maybe you have more time to put into your design work, and therefore you have a better portfolio, better job prospects upon graduation. So there are good things that can come of tripping over and failing a unit, and you shouldn't be too worried about it. Of course, it means that you need to take your studies seriously and you want to avoid failing a unit, because that means extra cost. You have to re-enroll in that failed unit and pay for it again. You don't get a refund for a failed unit. So it isn't something to take lightly, but it is something to take in your stride, and don't panic about it. Now, you may see that if you failed a unit and there is a prerequisite unit following, when you're enrolling for the next year, you may see the system offer you a request for a requisite waiver. Now, a requisite waiver is simply what QUT calls, if you like, a free pass to go on to that unit that you don't have the prerequisite for. Now, the system offers you the chance to request one of these, but it's extremely rare that we grant them. So if you were thinking of asking for something like this, the general advice is to talk to your study area coordinator first, okay? Get some advice on whether this is going to be likely or possible and how it would affect your overall study plan. In most cases, we don't grant them because if you failed a unit and you want to do the next unit in the chain, that's usually more complex, and you've already shown that you maybe struggled the first time. So we think it's usually a bad bet. It's a high-risk strategy to grant requisite waivers, which we may in fact just be setting you up to fail a second unit, and so we don't usually do that. So what happens if you think you might be failing a unit, if you think you might be at risk? Maybe your first assessment item was very poor, or maybe you're having a lot of problems at home or at work, and you're finding it difficult to devote the time that you think you need to your studies. Well, if you think that you might fail a unit, then you should consider withdrawing from it. Withdrawing from a unit avoids a failure result. It also means you haven't passed the unit and you'll need to do it. You need to enroll in it next time it's offered. You won't be able to do any requisite units that follow, but it does mean that you avoid lowering your GPA with a failed result. So it's definitely something to consider, and it may even be possible to save you money by withdrawing from a unit. Now, the areas that you need to look at are the key dates. There are specific dates each semester wherein you can withdraw from a unit and save yourself perhaps money, or at least a GPA reduction with a fail grade. So the important dates are available on the QUT website and the academic calendar, and if you go to the link shown on the screen and look at the key dates to do with withdrawal, you can find when these occur. Now, I'll save you the trouble with a quick summary. There are 2 important deadlines for withdrawing. The first one is the end of week 4. If you withdraw from a unit any time during the first 4 weeks of the semester, that's up until Friday of week 4, you withdraw from the unit and it will look like you've never even attempted that unit. So you won't have a fail result. Perhaps more importantly, you will also avoid a financial penalty. And what this means is the federal government won't ask you to pay for the unit. That's pretty important, isn't it? So if you withdraw before census date in week 4, you don't have to pay for it and you don't record a fail. Now, if you are doing badly in a unit and you just stop turning up, don't go to classes, you're still enrolled in the unit. And you will fail the unit if you don't submit anything, or, with a K result, which is equal to a result of 1. And indeed, if you do submit some work but not enough to pass, then a result of 1, 2 or 3 will still see you failing the unit, and of course that will affect your grade point average. So it is much better to make a conscious decision if you think you're doing badly in a unit. It's always much better to withdraw than it is to stay in a unit but not attempt it. So you'll save yourself money if you do withdraw before week 4, and it's also possible there's a week 9 late withdrawal date. If you withdraw before week 9, and you should always check these dates by going to the key dates website at QUT website. Always check these key dates to make sure they don't change for your semester. But if you withdraw before the end of week 9, you can avoid a fail result, but you still have the financial penalty of having to pay for the unit. And that's something the federal government dictates. That's not something QUT has any control over. So you need to pay for a unit if you late withdraw up until week 9. After week 9, you can't withdraw from a unit. You have to get a result for it, a fail or otherwise, and you still have to pay for it, except in very unusual exceptional grounds. So for example, if you've been in a hospital, confined to a bed, unconscious for several months, whatever, something really horribly extreme like that, it would be possible to apply for late withdrawal on medical grounds. But the medical grounds have to be quite substantial, or they can be on counselling grounds, but they have to be pretty substantial. And so you'd apply to QUT if you think you're in that situation. If in doubt, always get advice from your study area coordinator. Talk to your unit coordinator if you think you're at risk of failing. Ask them what your chances are. And if you're not sure, if they can't help you, then you can talk to the study area coordinator. So remember that for academic advice, you should approach student support and ask them first, because usually they'll be able to give you an answer straight away. And if they can't help you, they might direct you to your study area coordinator or even to me as the head of studies. So always get advice and always ask for help. There's nothing sadder than seeing a student struggling at uni when we could have helped them and they didn't ask for help. Now finally, there are some things that are beyond our advice to do with our academic advice. You may need personal advice to do with your life circumstances. Now that's not something academic staff are qualified to help you with. We're not counsellors, we're not trained in those kind of things. We only really know about our academic area. So if you're suffering from personal circumstances which are causing you to do badly, regardless of your academic progression, you should ask for help, and the best people to go to are the people at the Counselling Centre, QUT. Now the Counselling Centre people are obviously experts in dealing with all the kind of issues that students encounter. They might be medical, they might be psychological, they might be social, they might be relationship breakdowns, they might even be financial. You might just simply be struggling to pay the rent. Go to the counselling services and contact them for an appointment, or even just they'll see you at an emergency drop-in session if necessary, and they will definitely be able to help you in some manner. So always ask for help. So just remember that failing is not the end of the world, it is an option, and there is always things you can do to make things better and to recover. So ask for advice and help early, and remember you're not alone at university. There are lots of people who are eager to help you and help you get through the course successfully. Well, good luck.